Have you ever noticed some men become more captivating as they age, while others struggle with graying hair or a declining physique? These men, with a calm demeanor and a quiet gaze, command attention without saying a word. The difference isn't in appearance, wealth, or luck. It lies in attitude, in the way they embrace aging as a companion, not an adversary. In today's video, you will uncover 7 secrets that make older men attractive, not by pretending to be young, but by becoming a leaner, deeper, more magnetic version of themselves. From the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius to the calm presence of Epictetus, this is the journey of a man who knows who he is, and therefore feels no need to prove anything. If you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, it's time to turn time into your greatest asset. And Stoicism is the compass that can guide you there. 1. Let calmness be the mark of strength. In Stoic philosophy, the face is not merely a reflection of emotion. It is a silent declaration of inner strength. A man may have a powerful build, dress impeccably, or speak sharply, but if his face is constantly ruled by emotions, anger, confusion, haste, or impatience, those outward traits soon lose their impact. In contrast, a composed, steady face, undisturbed by circumstance, is the clearest signal of a mind in control of itself. Calmness first shows through the eyes. A steady gaze, neither darting nor avoiding, neither confrontational nor evasive, stays rooted in the present and radiates safety and stability. Whether in business, friendship, or romance, people are drawn to a man who isn't swept up by events, but sees them with objective clarity. His eyes need not say anything, for their stillness declares, "Nothing governs me but myself." Facial expression is also a core indicator of emotional maturity. The kind of man who becomes more attractive with age tends to wear a neutral face, not cold, but not swayed by petty emotion. He does not let irritation form a scowl, does not let praise inflate his ego, nor show bewilderment when caught off guard. His face reflects a soul forged by storms, no longer reacting on impulse. Philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius remind us maintaining a calm face is not a facade, but a deliberate act, one of self-governance and respect for others. In Meditations, Marcus repeatedly stresses that mastering the mind and its responses is the foundation of inner freedom, and the face is the first window through which others sense that freedom. Moreover, a calm face tangibly influences how others treat you. In conversation or conflict, a tranquil expression tends to disarm tension, earn respect, and invite trust. There's no need to raise your voice or react aggressively. The quiet in your face gives your words and actions weight. A calm man silences a room, not by volume, but by presence. His face speaks before he ever does. In a world wired by constant disruption, bad news, career pressure, social media outbursts, a man with a serene face becomes a rare anchor. He's the still point in a storm, and this creates an invisible but lasting attraction. Without trying to impress, without saying much, his steady gaze and tranquil face signal one truth: he knows himself and cannot be shaken easily. From a Stoic view, attraction doesn't come from striving to impress, but from no longer needing to. The face reveals how far we've freed ourselves from reacting to the outside world. The less a man is governed by externals, the more his face reflects a liberated mind. In silence, there is presence. In restraint, there is power. That's the kind of allure age can never steal, magnetism sauce born from a well-trained soul. A core Stoic tenet is discerning what lies within our control and what does not. From this, emotional control isn't just behavior. It's a direct reflection of our understanding of freedom. A man who knows this doesn't let circumstances or fleeting feelings dictate his actions. He responds with intention, and that choice shapes the outcome. Emotional reactions are natural, but Stoicism doesn't demand we eliminate emotion. It urges mastery. When insulted, misunderstood, or wronged, the instinct is to get angry, defensive, or rebellious. But left unchecked, such reactions destroy relationships, damage reputations, or bring irreversible consequences. By contrast, the man who pauses, reflects, and responds wisely redirects the outcome for the better. Controlling our response isn't just emotional maturity. It's a powerful strategy in navigating complex relationships and life situations. A man who observes his emotions before speaking, whether at work, at home, or in love, earns trust and respect. He lets reason lead. Instead of lashing out, he pauses and asks, "Will this serve me in the long run?" That pause often draws the line between chaos and control. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, taught that pain doesn't come from events themselves, but from how we interpret them. A criticism, for example, only wounds if we choose to take offense. Thus, how we frame and react to events is always within our command. And once we grasp this, we are no longer victims of emotion. We become the architects of every moment. True strength in a mature man isn't in overpowering others with words or sudden gestures, but in staying composed while others lose control. In heated debates, the man who governs his reactions wins trust and steers the dialogue. In conflict, the one who remains calm and asks the right question changes the course of the situation. People value stability more than intensity. A man with inner composure offers exactly that. Reaction control is closely tied to self-discipline, a pillar of Stoic maturity. When a man delays reaction to consider consequence, he practices mental discipline. Each time he resists the impulse, he reinforces a solid character. Over time, calmness ceases to be an effort. It becomes nature. He earns not just respect, but a life steered by his own hand. In a world that glorifies speed and fiery reactions as signs of strength, Stoicism teaches the opposite. Real strength lies in waiting, watching, and choosing our response with intention. A man who controls his reactions controls the outcome. And the one who controls the outcome truly commands his life. 2. Speak little, but make every word count. In Stoic thought, speech is more than a tool for communication. It's an expression of character and awareness. Speaking less doesn't mean remaining silent, but rather choosing words with precision, ensuring that every utterance carries weight, necessity, and reflects the speaker's integrity. A mature man doesn't talk idly or to fill silence. He respects the gravity of words and speaks only when it brings value to himself or to others. In today's world of rapid talk, constant updates, and impulsive commentary, restraint in speech becomes rare and powerful. It shows that a man is not pressured to respond instantly, but has the inner stillness to reflect before he speaks. That pause and careful selection give his words distinction. When he speaks, people don't just hear, they listen, because they sense thoughtfulness, depth, and presence behind each word. Something hurried speech cannot offer. Stoic teachings particularly from Marcus Aurelius, emphasize the importance of speaking with timing and moderation. Not everything we think needs to be voiced. Withholding the unnecessary, the unhelpful, or the ill-timed is a sign of reason and self-control. A man may know much, understand deeply, but that doesn't compel him to show it. Instead, he speaks when it's needed and remains silent when it's wise. In silence, he observes. In speech, he delivers value. Unrestrained words are like a double-edged sword. Careless talk breeds misunderstanding, hurt, and loss of respect. On the other hand, speech born of clarity and emotional discipline builds trust, respect, and lasting influence. A man who speaks little isn't empty. He simply knows that every word leaves a mark, and he chooses to leave marks that matter, not just fleeting reactions. This intentional brevity creates a unique kind of space in conversation. A silence that isn't awkward but profound, where every sentence invites reflection. This is vastly different from the noise of empty chatter, where information flows fast but lacks substance. A man who speaks with measure causes others to pause, focus, and value every word, not because he seeks attention, but because his words reflect a soul that's been refined. In human interaction, this verbal restraint becomes a strategic advantage. The man of few words is often seen as mysterious, but not distant, unlikely to get pulled into petty arguments, yet able to de-escalate tension with one well-placed sentence. He speaks not to react, but to redirect, not to win, but to clarify. And that makes him stand out, quiet, but commanding. In a world flooded with noise, where distraction buries truth, the choice to speak less but deeper becomes a rare virtue. For a Stoic man, words are not mere tools, but reflections of self-mastery, clarity, and purposeful living. His verbal discipline turns every statement into a moment of meaning, and that alone is a lasting source of influence. In the Stoic worldview, silence isn't the absence of speech. It is the inner space where one observes, reflects, and understands before acting. A mature Stoic man doesn't speak out of compulsion, but only when his silence has matured into a word worthy of being heard. His speech doesn't arise from impulse, but from a mind purified by stillness, where ego no longer controls behavior and reason takes the lead. This inner silence is the state where external emotions no longer pull at us. In it, the man doesn't argue to win, doesn't speak to mask discomfort, and doesn't assert to prove his worth. He remains silent, not because he lacks content, but because he's listening to himself, to others, and to the situation unfolding. From that deep listening, his words emerge naturally, carrying quiet force without decoration. When a man trains himself in inner silence, his words gain order, purpose, and influence. He doesn't speak to manipulate, but to clarify, resolve, or offer ideas worth contemplating. Each utterance becomes the result of inner discernment, and when such words are spoken, they resonate with sincerity, integrity, and mental steadiness. People listen, not for volume, but for the credibility carried in his calm voice and careful phrasing. Epictetus once taught that words are the surface of thoughts, and if the thoughts are disordered, speech will be chaotic. Therefore, building a firm inner life through silence, reflection, writing, or frequent self-inquiry is the first step in cultivating meaningful speech. A man cannot speak with weight if his mind is scattered or led by an untrained ego. Only from a quiet mind can words become a bridge not a barrier. Additionally, inner silence frees a man from the need to talk out of insecurity. Many use speech as a shield, to cover fear, to control, or to appear wise. But when a man is internally full, he no longer needs that armor of words. He's at ease in silence, not threatened by it, but nourished. And in that state, his words no longer aim to persuade, but to illuminate, not to dominate, but to reveal truth. Holding back speech also creates a crucial pause in communication, a space to watch others' reactions, to adjust tone, or reassess the situation. In that short pause, the man shows mastery of himself, and from there, his words no longer strike, but bridge understanding and respect. Ultimately, in Stoic practice, powerful speech is not learned through rhetoric, but emerges from a life of inner depth, stability, and wisdom. Silence doesn't make a man invisible. It casts a quiet aura around every word he speaks. And in that calm, words become vessels of truth, not just echoes of fleeting emotion. 3. Move slowly with intention. In Stoic philosophy, body and mind are not separate. They operate as one. Every outward action, no matter how small, is a physical expression of our inner state. How a man moves, from his steps to his posture, to the motion of his hands, reveals not just his physique, but the level of composure, control, and focus he carries within. Hasty, chaotic, or indecisive movement isn't usually a matter of the body, but a reflection of a restless mind, stressed, distracted, or spiritually unanchored. A man lacking inner steadiness often moves too fast, shifts posture constantly, or engages in aimless gestures. He may walk without direction, turn abruptly, or fidget with his sleeves, hair, or belongings. These small acts all point to one truth: a fragmented mind without grounding. Disordered movement visually manifests inner unrest. Conversely, a man with a centered mind leaves an impression through minimal, controlled movement. He walks calmly, not sluggish, not rushed, with steady and deliberate rhythm. Whether standing up from a chair or entering a room, his every move aligns with the space, neither overpowering nor fading. His body flows without jerks or interruptions, unshaken by emotion or circumstance. This consistency draws attention, not through display, but through the calm and completeness it conveys. From a Stoic view, order in movement mirrors order in thought. The more a man masters his mind, the less he is swayed by external forces, and this manifests through intentional actions. He doesn't walk to escape a feeling or sit as a reflex to pressure. Every act bears conscious presence. He knows what he's doing, why he's doing it, and how it reflects who he chooses to be. This mindfulness in motion is the essence of strength without force. Pace also matters. A man who moves slowly, yet not lazily, sends a message: I am not rushed. He doesn't rush to seem busy, nor hurry to appear important. He knows his worth, and so each step becomes a silent declaration of command over time, space, and self. In contrast, haste often signals the need to keep up with others' tempo or fear of being overlooked. Gestures, an inseparable part of movement, also reveal inner state. A man lacking self-mastery may tap fingers, shake a leg, touch his face, spin a pen, or shift constantly. In contrast, the self-disciplined man is measured, still, and purposeful. He's not afraid to use body language, but ensures it serves communication, not distracts from it. This control isn't forced. It's the natural result of training a tranquil mind and a disciplined body. Ultimately, in Stoicism, bodily movement is a form of virtue. A man doesn't need words or appearance to impress. Simply walking firmly, sitting with timing, or acting decisively leaves a lasting impression. When the mind is quiet, the body moves like water over stone, constant, unhurried, and true. That harmony earns respect. No need to speak loudly or compete. Just be present with intention. In the Stoic mindset, every action should arise from reason and clear purpose. Nothing, not even unconscious gestures, should be done mindlessly. A man who lives with direction reveals it not just in major choices, career, relationships, philosophy, but in daily behavior. How he walks, sits, picks up an object, or opens a door. These actions aren't driven by fleeting emotion or habit, but by awareness. He knows what he's doing and why. Purposeful movement is the fusion of awareness and self-mastery. A man who moves with control isn't just guiding his body. He's demonstrating command over his mind. When he walks without wandering eyes, without random direction changes or sudden halts, he shows he knows his destination and walks toward it with resolve. In contrast, fidgeting and inconsistency signal a scattered mind, overly reactive and lacking internal compass. Even the smallest gesture becomes a message. A purposeful man needs no attention seeking to show worth. The way he stands upright, steps with certainty, sits deliberately, or reaches calmly for an item, all radiate stability. Others may not articulate it, but they feel it and instinctively respond with respect. Unlike flashy displays, intentional movement isn't loud or dramatic. It's restrained, efficient, and deliberate. The Stoic man doesn't use motion to dominate, claim space, or assert control. He moves with just enough, precisely and meaningfully. He walks to fulfill purpose, not to attract. He sits to listen, not to posture. He acts from internal direction, not external demand. Purposeful movement also reflects understanding of time and energy's value. In a rushed, non-stop world, a man who maintains deliberate pace shows he controls his rhythm, not the environment. He saves energy for what truly matters and moves with long-term purpose, not momentary impulse. Additionally, deliberate motion creates unity between inner self and outward image. In Stoic thought, the ideal man is one whose thoughts, words, and actions align. When he maintains that harmony even in daily motion, it reflects integrity and proves he lives by clear principles. He's not thrown off by context, but centered in every act and every moment. In short, intentional movement is more than a style. It's proof of a purposeful life. The Stoic man doesn't try to prove himself through action, but through steadiness, restraint, and resolve in every step. When the body obeys reason, when every motion has meaning, that man isn't just moving through space. He's walking with strength through life itself. 4. Style isn't about brands. It's about alignment. In the Stoic spirit, every life choice mirrors the inner self, including how one dresses. A calm, intentional man doesn't let personal style be dictated by fashion trends or social pressure. He doesn't choose clothes to attract attention or show status, but to remain neat, refined, and true to who he is. Dressing for him is an intentional act, never excessive or flashy, but just enough to convey self-respect and self-awareness. In a consumer-driven society, where brands constantly promote new trends and idealized images, the Stoic man stands apart. He knows chasing trends is a form of dependence on external change, public opinion, and the need for validation. So, he shops not to update his look, but to maintain a steady image aligned with his lifestyle. That stability gives him freedom, not from lack of choice, but from being ruled by it. Dressing true to character also reflects awareness of form, color, material, and context. He knows what suits his build, which tones evoke calm, and what fabrics bring all-day comfort without adjustment. He doesn't need bold designs or standout accessories. He favors simple, refined pieces, a plain shirt, tailored pants, neutral jacket, or classic leather shoes. Each item isn't a visual statement, but an extension of his clear personality. A man who knows himself isn't swayed by what others wear. He feels no urge to change for each season, event, or popular taste. To him, appearance doesn't define worth. It merely conveys the consistency between inside and out. A simple, well-worn shirt, worn right and in harmony with the whole, says far more than a pricey outfit, misaligned with the inner self. This is the line between fashion and style. Fashion shifts with markets. Style is shaped through time. In social spaces, dressing well also signals respect, not just for others, but for oneself. The well-dressed man doesn't aim to impress, but honors the setting, the people present, and his own journey. Dressing authentically, not flashy, not careless, but thoughtfully, sends a strong signal. I take responsibility for how I show up, and I need no more than quiet precision to express that. Style built on self-awareness outlasts any trend. It doesn't need updates, never goes out of date, and always remains consistent. A man with stable style doesn't wow crowds, but leaves lasting impressions through coherence. People remember not his new jacket, but the presence behind it, measured, modest, and sincere. In a world noisy with appearances, restraint in style speaks volumes about a trained inner life. To conclude, authentic style isn't about whim or trend. It's the product of knowing and being true to oneself. A man doesn't need logos to show worth. His alignment between inner values and outward form says it all. That style, simple, calm, deliberate, cannot be faded by age or fashion. In Stoic thought, harmony between outer and inner self is a key sign of balance and self-mastery. Style isn't just about clothes. It's how a man presents his entire being through appearance, behavior, and attitude. When the outer reflects the inner, without contradiction or pretense, his style withstands time and doesn't bend to trend or pressure. That is a style untouchable by time because it's founded on understanding and inner steadiness. A man of depth, self-control, and wisdom doesn't build style to mask weakness, but to reflect integrity. He doesn't wear luxury to hide insecurity, speak eloquently to cover self-doubt, or use polished gestures to fake impact. Everything about him, his clothes, posture, voice, gaze, flows from an inner calm, no longer driven to impress or seek attention. So everything is just enough, neat, serious, steady, inviting trust without force. This alignment proves he deeply understands himself. He knows who he is, what matters, and what doesn't need to be shown. With inner clarity, his appearance follows suit, not too colorful, branded, or ever-changing, only what reflects his rhythm and values. If he's simple and disciplined, his style reflects that, not because he follows minimalism, but because it's who he truly is. And style merely projects that truth. By contrast, a mismatch between inner and outer like dressing formally but speaking carelessly, or acting modest yet craving attention, creates unease and inauthenticity. Even if people can't explain it, they sense the dissonance, and it makes trust harder. Meanwhile, those whose inner and outer selves align create clear communication, a rare thing in a world crowded with image and role confusion. Sustainable style doesn't shift with environment. It isn't about chasing trends, but the result of lived experience, reflection, and identity. A man who's wrestled with big questions, purpose, values, limits, and internalized the answers, lets his look become a silent language. He doesn't need many words to explain himself, because how he stands, sits, dresses, and moves already speaks. When outer behavior allows inner truth, people listen, without needing persuasion. To conclude, in Stoic living, style is not about aesthetics, it's a reflection of character. When your look is grounded in your values, it becomes an ethical expression, not because it follows rules, but because it's honest. And honesty is the deepest allure, unfading, untouched by judgment, and needing no reinvention. True style is proof that a man knows himself and lives accordingly, calm, firm, and trustworthy. 5. Maintain the body to cultivate discipline. In Stoic thought, the body is not merely a physical structure, it is a concrete and direct manifestation of mental state and moral character. Every choice related to physical care, from diet, sleep habits, physical activity, to posture and vitality, reflects the inner discipline a man has established and upheld in his daily life. In this light, the body becomes a mirror for self-control, mastery over desire, and the orderliness of one's way of living. A disciplined man does not care for his body out of trend or image pressure. He does not train for validation, follow diet fads, or maintain physique to appear attractive. Instead, every personal habit is aimed at keeping the body in its best state to serve intellectual life and responsibility. Physical health is treated as part of a serious, honest commitment to self. A body free from indulgent habits, functioning with rhythm and reason, is the direct result of a mind that has overcome laziness, craving, and softness. In today's world, dominated by convenience, fast food, unregulated sleep, and overconsumption, maintaining physical health requires resolute willpower. A lean, flexible body, not necessarily muscular or perfect, shows that the man can delay gratification, command his needs, and prioritize long-term values. Stoic thought emphasizes the man who masters his body is also capable of mastering the rest of life, from work and relationships to thoughts and emotions. A key sign of inner discipline is consistency. He does not train by mood, but treats it as a ritual, regardless of conditions. He knows results come not from bursts of effort, but from quiet perseverance. His body, therefore, is not just healthy. It embodies stability, patience, and endurance. These traits not only serve physical strength, but form the foundation of credibility and influence in all aspects of life. The body also acts as an objective measure of lifestyle quality and mental orientation. When a man constantly feels tired, lifeless, frequently ill, or visibly deteriorates, it often accompanies disorder in his personal life. While not all health issues stem from poor discipline, in most cases, physical decline signals daily choices slipping out of control. Conversely, a man who maintains a steady and energized body has likely built solid discipline in routines, diet, rest, and movement. Furthermore, A well-cared-for body enhances presence and influence in social environments. A firm gait, agile gestures, alert eyes, and a strong voice all originate from a sound physical base. These traits not only support communication, but signal that the man stands on solid ground, both within and without. In summary, Stoicism does not view the body as a display piece, but as an integral part of character development. Keeping it healthy is not just physical maintenance. It is an expression of discipline, responsibility, and self-command. When a man maintains his body's best state, he proves he has overcome the lure of fleeting pleasure and lives in deeper order, where the body serves the intellect and the intellect guides the body. Stoic philosophy sees the body not as the ultimate goal, but as a vital tool for living a moral, wise, and effective life. A strong body offers more than physiological benefit. It supports the mental domain, where reason, calmness, and self-mastery are cultivated. In this context, caring for the body becomes an ethical act, not to glorify form, but to protect the ability to think, act, and be present with clarity and focus. A healthy body is the foundation for a clear mind. When the body is in good condition, physiological systems function well, aiding concentration, memory, and cognitive performance. Men who move regularly, eat mindfully, and sleep adequately tend to make sound decisions, regulate emotions, and think clearly under stress. In Stoicism, these traits are not just beneficial, they are essential to practicing calmness, reason, and justice, the pillars of a grounded inner life. On the other hand, a weak or exhausted body undermines perception. Lack of physical energy reduces resilience, shortens patience, and causes emotional reactivity over reason. When the body becomes a burden, it obstructs the mind from maintaining inner freedom, a core Stoic aim. Thus, body care isn't merely health-related, it preserves the clarity needed to live rightly, unaffected by fatigue, stress, or imbalance. A healthy body also enhances recovery from life's trials. In Stoicism, adversity is inevitable. Preparation for hardship lies not just in the mind but in physical resilience. A strong body withstands illness, environmental shifts, sleep deprivation, or work pressure. He stays calm and rational in conditions that make others falter. A properly trained body becomes a silent shield for the mind, guarding mental steadiness from external disruption. Moreover, a fit body improves presence, the ability to live fully in each moment. Chronic pain, fatigue, or tension scatter the mind and invite negativity. Conversely, a supple, relaxed, stress-resistant body provides the ground for a mindful life, where a man can observe feelings, notice thoughts, and act with balance and purpose. This elevates not only communication quality, but deepens one's relationship with self and others. Ultimately, treating the body as a servant to the spirit does not mean idealizing it or chasing beauty standards. On the contrary, Stoicism prioritizes practicality. The body must be strong enough to work, help others, and uphold one's values. Training it, through walking, deep breathing, or proper rest, preserves the physical base for spiritual life. He neither worships nor neglects his body. He understands that intellect cannot thrive when the body is depleted. In the Stoic view, the body is neither a power symbol nor trivial. It is a tool, strong, durable, and controlled, enabling reason to operate smoothly, spirit to grow deeply, and a character to fulfill its ethical role. A strong body, used with purpose, fosters endurance, clarity, and self-command. the very traits that the spirit requires to remain steady under any condition. 6. Embrace aging without concealment. In Stoicism, aging is not seen as decline or loss, but as a natural, honorable part of a meaningful life journey. When a man enters middle or old age, he doesn't lose his value. He begins the deepest chapter of maturity. Changes in appearance, gray hair, wrinkles, or physical shifts aren't too shameful or to be hidden. They are visible proof of lived years, silent witnesses to experience, and the wisdom earned over time. A Stoic man understands that real beauty lies not in youthful appearance, but in the depth that time has etched into him. Each sign of age reminds him of perseverance, past hardships overcome, and decisions wrestled with. Youth may bring energy and vitality, but age brings clarity, composure, and strength of values. These qualities are not taught. They are forged through lived experience. From the Stoic lens, denying age is denying a vital stage of life. We cannot control time, but we can choose how to respond to its changes. When a man hides age through artificial means or chases youth at all cost, he forfeits the chance to embrace the value that experience brings. True growth in Stoicism doesn't come from clinging to what must pass, but from accepting change with wisdom and dignity. If calmly embraced, aging becomes a new form of magnetism, one no longer based on raw energy, but rooted in steadiness. An older man may not move with former speed, yet his very presence in a room can command attention through gaze and posture. Precisely because he no longer needs to prove anything, he offers safety, grounding, and depth. What he radiates is not performance, but the earned grace of a life lived with intention. By accepting aging, a man shows he has grasped the impermanence of life, a central Stoic truth. Everything changes: our bodies, environments, relationships, and time itself. Fighting this truth brings inner conflict. Embracing it brings freedom. Without the pressure to cling to youth, he sheds false expectations and refocuses on lasting values: wisdom, gratitude, and the transmission of insight. Age also marks the stages he has crossed, from idealistic beginnings through hard lessons to deeper self-understanding. Those who haven't faced failure, loss, or their limits may lack the calm inner strength that seasoned men quietly carry. Aging isn't just biological. It is the highest refinement of character over time. In Stoic thought, age is not to be hidden. It is the honest mark of a life lived with meaning, struggle, and choice. A man doesn't need to resist age to be compelling. He must meet it with calm, respect, and clarity. When he does, age becomes strength, the strength of insight, maturity, and freedom from superficial pressures. Stoicism holds that we are defined not by circumstance, but by our response to it. Aging is inevitable, but our acceptance of it reveals the depth of our inner growth. The mature man does not conceal aging. He faces it serenely. His calmness is not resignation, but understanding of natural law and his place within time's flow. To be calm about aging is not to give up self-care, but to do it from respect, not fear. The Stoic man doesn't seek approval through appearance, nor invest in artificial interventions to prolong youth in vain. He coexists peacefully with his body at every stage, maintaining it without resistance, improving it without denial. Fear of aging reveals dependence on externals for self-worth. If a man ties his identity to youth, aging becomes a threat. But if he knows his value lies in action, thought and virtue, age poses no danger. It confirms his growth. Each outward change is the natural echo of inward transformation. Aging gracefully also shows he's moved beyond competing appearances. He feels no need to appear younger, stronger, or more attractive than peers. He opts out of the invisible race, where youth is idolized and age is feared. This withdrawal frees him from excess worry and lets him live in the now, instead of clinging to a past image. Sustained calmness toward age shapes a rare demeanor, a stillness that doesn't waver, a presence with weight. He no longer needs attention to feel complete. In fact, his quiet self-possession sets him apart. He lives centered, guided by reason, appreciating the present rather than mourning the past. This is a state of a seasoned soul, tempered, refined, stable, something time cannot steal, but only affirm. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius taught that while we can't control biology or appearance, we can always control our response. When a man sees aging as nature's course, not to be resisted, he nears inner freedom, beyond fear, untouched by illusion. In short, serenity in aging is no accident. It is the result of trained thought. It arises when appearance no longer defines worth, when a man lives clearly, actively, and without shame or comparison. This calm is the sign of a firm mind, one that knows true beauty lies not in youth, but in living rightly at every age. 7. Mystery is not evasion. It is discernment. In Stoic philosophy, self-control is not only revealed through behavior and emotion, but also in how one uses words and chooses what to share. A man with inner strength does not feel compelled to speak everything he thinks, knows, or has experienced. He does not use storytelling to validate his worth, nor depends on complete understanding from others to feel whole. Choosing what to share is not concealment. It is the mark of a trained mind that preserves what matters for the right person at the right time. Discernment in sharing is not defensiveness. It is a clear sign of wisdom. A man speaks nothing until he understands the purpose of his words. Will they add value? Will they cause harm? Are they necessary? Stoic thought, especially through Epictetus, teaches us to speak little, but with weight, to observe before reacting. In practice, this demands high self-restraint, to not speak in haste, to avoid unfinished thoughts, and to resist filling silence with needless words. When a man can hold back part of himself in conversation, he demonstrates mastery over a deep human desire to be seen, understood, acknowledged. His reluctance to disclose the most personal parts of himself shows that his self-worth does not rest on others' reactions. He understands that not everything gains meaning through disclosure. Some things gain more by being held back, as a sign of respect, personal boundary, and dignity. Selective sharing also reflects respect for the other. When a man speaks little of himself, he leaves space for others to express themselves. He does not dominate the dialogue or center himself in every interaction. He communicates through listening and intentional response. He knows his presence is not tied to word count, but to the quality of what is said. That restraint gives his words more weight. Each statement travels further, deeper. From the listener's view, such discretion creates a sense of depth and safety. The man who does not overshare often sparks curiosity, while commanding respect by not overwhelming others with uninvited emotions or personal detail. In relationships, this fosters a respectful distance, allowing understanding to grow gradually rather than be drained by premature exposure. This measured approach builds lasting attraction, not loud, not predictable, but deeply trustworthy. Moreover, a man who chooses his words carefully often has cultivated self-reflection and healing within. He does not use others as emotional dumping grounds. He resolves his struggles through discipline, writing, contemplation, or meditation. Internal tools that do not rely on outside validation. When he shares, it is not to relieve himself, but to offer something useful to others, without obligation or pressure. In Stoic spirit, mystery is not a shadow to hide. It is a well-lit space protected by awareness. A man who keeps part of himself reserved does not do so from fear, but from the strength of not needing to explain everything to be understood. He controls information as he controls emotion, with restraint, discernment, and harmony in his relationships. This intentional silence is among the clearest signs of well-forged inner power. In Stoicism, a person's depth is not measured by how much they share, but by their ability to hold something back without needing to prove themselves. A deep man does not recount his whole story to impress or seek understanding. Rather, it is what he withholds, held in silence, in calm gaze, in a composed posture, that creates compelling mystery. This is not secrecy. It is selective expression, where the inner world is guarded by discernment. True depth doesn't reside in long narratives of past struggles. It lives in how a man carries those experiences quietly, without needing to mention them. He does not announce every triumph, wound, or shadow to be respected. Living with those experiences, knowing them, accepting them, and not using them for applause is the sign he has truly absorbed life's lessons. A processed past does not need to be retold. It lives in his current state, calm, grounded, unshaken. Purposeful silence also reflects a vital trait of depth, the ability to observe without needing to respond immediately. A deep man doesn't rush to speak his thoughts in every situation. He can be fully present, listening and sensing clearly, yet keeps many insights to himself. This makes others feel they stand before a quiet abyss, a space they cannot fully grasp, yet are drawn to for its unspoken strength. When a man does not share everything, he invites others to discover him gradually. Interaction unfolds layer by layer, each one unlocked by trust, time, and sincerity. This fosters meaningful connection, unlike premature oversharing or forced emotional openness. That pacing not only sustains intrigue, but supports steady, genuine relationship growth, unshaken by fleeting emotion or control. Also, withholding details is a sign of humility. The man who knows the limits of language understands not all feelings or ideas can be fully conveyed, so he does not try to explain everything. Instead, he lets actions, attitude, and presence do the speaking. He knows a timely glance, a silent nod, or a well-placed pause may express more than words ever could. And this restraint breeds real depth, something that cannot be faked or copied. From a Stoic perspective, the deep man knows life need not be retold in detail to hold value. That value is stored in how he lives, reacts, and shows up each day. Experience that isn't displayed still shapes influence, so long as it's been carefully digested within. And once his inner world is full, he no longer needs external confirmation of his worth. He doesn't speak much, because his presence says all he has chosen to keep. In conclusion, Stoicism sees depth as a chosen stillness, not the absence of content, but it's thoughtful conservation. A man holds back what matters most, not to seem mysterious, but because he knows real value doesn't require exposure. He lives with layers of experience, revealing only when needed, and that makes him magnetic, steady, and distinct in a world where many speak too much, but understand too little. Looking back at all 7 principles on the journey to becoming an attractive man in maturity, I realize these aren't lofty ideals. They are practical choices any man can make each day. I started by training myself in calmness, not reacting instantly, not letting emotion lead my actions. It wasn't easy, but each moment I paused before responding helped me stay composed in tense situations, from work to personal relationships. I also changed how I dress, not chasing trends anymore, but choosing clothes that reflect who I really am. Simple, clean, intentional. From that, I felt more confident, not because I looked different, but because I lived more honestly. I began exercising regularly, not to build the perfect body, but to maintain discipline, flexibility, and vitality. Each workout became a reminder that I'm still in charge of myself. Most importantly, I learned not to say everything. I keep a part of myself reserved, not out of fear, but because I understand that true depth is built over time and through careful sharing. What I withhold often becomes the very thing that sets me apart and makes me steadier in a world that never stops shouting. If you found value in these reflections, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future content. Content crafted for men who choose to live with resolve rather than noise. Because in the end, what makes you compelling isn't your age, but how you walk through time, with a steady mind and a spirit that never grows old. See you in the next video.